This is our president, Chief.
All right. Blessings. 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 Blessings.
Yes,
Blessings.
sir.
One love.
Blessings.
One love.
One love.
VIP coming through.
All right, my brother.
Yes, yes, it is. Dr. Wimpon, Chief of Chiefs, Chief Chasing Horse.
Let's get the world on the right path. Let's tell them where we're all really from originally, and then get everybody on the right page of, So because of his accepting us into this great city of Adelanto, we're able to do Kush Talk here. So we're trying to bridge all the nations together.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Chief Joseph here, Chasing Horse, descendant of Crazy Horse, working at NASA on planetary programs and teaching children about planetary system. And his son, the Chief of Chiefs, who oversees all the tribes across the United States. Can I get your name, sir?
Winborn, Dr. Winborn.
Dr. Winborn, right here. And what's
Ethiopian World Federation.
Ethiopian World Federation. From all over the world.
Correct,
The Ethiopian
correct.
World Federation is global. It's local in every 7 continents.
There is.
We're here to sign the treaty.
Yes. Okay.
Treaty of the Circle of Life, just what you said. Bringing the indigenous communities all together.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Remind them that we're all from the same place. We ain't from nowhere else. That's right. Man. No matter what it is.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us. It's a little breezy, so it helps during this, our little heat wave that we got going on today. But this is something that the city, we embraced in the cannabis industry. And when I got elected in 2018, it was just one of those things, to really show the embracing of the industry. We had to promote it, right? We had to promote it. We had to really let people know that there's so much more about the medicine when it comes to the cannabis plant than just, the recreational and relaxation of it, right? But there's so many medical benefits. I'm not gonna, beat the dead horse on all the greatness, right, of what it is. But cannabis has been a major foundation to our city. It's helped us really stabilize the industry. And with Dr. King's support, one of the things that I've always said is because we embrace the industry, I really want Adelanto to be the mecca of cannabis.
Yes, sir.
Right? When people, just how people thought about Amsterdam and thought about Humboldt when it was quote unquote illegal, right? Now that it's being legalized, I want when people think about legal cannabis from seed to sale, I want the first thing to come to their mind is the city of Adelanto.
And that's the seed that we're planting here. Is that we're planting right here in this city.
That's good. This is the place to do it, right? This is the place to do it. So whatever I can do to be of assistance, the city, we truly support and embrace it. We have big plans. I would say that I have a big vision on what I want to come from the industry. But it's just a matter of unity, right? When people are united and people are on the same cause, the same mission, it already passed on a house level, right? It passed 220 to 207. I don't think it's going to pass on the Senate level just yet, right? But I do really believe within the next 5 years, it will get removed from being a Schedule I drug. And that's when we'll see a lot of import-export. I think the biggest part that they have to try to figure out is the decriminalization aspect of it, right? Yep. Because a lot of it, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. K, it's coming from the hemp aspect.
Correct.
Right? When hemp, yeah. So once they figure all of that out, I think we'll be in a good place. But we're on the electricity, micron,
I drove up, that's my was too earlier. It's like the
We're going to be signing a treaty between the World Federation of Ethiopia and the Lakota tribe. This is very special. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bless what we're doing, the land that we're on, the herb that we're smoking, the people that we're smoking with. We're giving thanks for the people that brought us here, the people that came here before us, the people that provide this for us. And like I said, we're all one people. We're all together in this. We're all trying to get higher consciousness. Barbie. Mike, let her on stage. Anybody want to lead it? So who do we got? Who do we got here? We got the Chief of Chiefs here. We got the Chief of Chiefs. We got Joseph Chasing Horse, who helped plenty of kids with the NASA planetary program right here. We're teaching the youth. We're teaching everybody right here. Dr. Winborn with the Federation of Ethiopia in the house. And Ross Lazarus, Ethiopian World Federation. Holy Selassie, we're here. Thank you for these blessings, and the chief is going to take it over, okay?
I want to welcome all of you here today to this supernatural healing power medicine that we have known for thousands of years. The healing natural medicine of our ancestors. As we come here to give this blessing here and sign this treaty. Oh, I want to give thanks also to Dr. K and all those who have organized this gathering here today. I want to thank all of our growers, all of our manufacturers. I want to thank today many other people that have participated. And we have a booth over here. War Cry and Good-Hearted Woman. Support. War Cry. Ethiopian World Federation President to the State South Africa.
Situation is a short time where we are coming together. These cases are coming together. Farms and National Gold Farms War Cry. You can buy it at whatever you make you support. War Cry is helping the child here locally. So make sure you support. Make sure you celebrate. Make sure you help each other. This is what we do it for. And we appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We're glad to be here. Thank you for your hospitality.
My daughter's been talking about you since yesterday.
I mean, the big driveway in the back, that motor home that was in the kitchen.
My name is Chief Joseph Chasing Horse Tashuka Okua, and I am from the Sichonho Lakota Oyate of the great seven council choirs of the great Sioux Nation. And we are here today to sign into a treaty with the Ethiopian World Federation's delegate, the president, and the present chief of the seventh generation chief of the time of Crazy Horse, our great-great-grandfather who also lived in a time where some of the first treaties were signed between the great Lakota Nation and the United States government. And it's because of some of these treaties our ancestors foresaw 7 generations. And it's because of some of these treaties that the Sichonho Lakota Oyate are able to coexist today, and then with a nation-to-nation coexistence within the United States of America. But before this was United States of America, it was known by all native nations throughout the Western Hemisphere as the heart of all that is. And 7 generations ago, in that time when the first treaties were signed, not by written paper, but because my ancestors didn't know how to read or write in English or any form, but they hold some of the oldest records in the world, the history of the world. And so they signed with thumbprints in those times in the treaties. And so in that time, our grandfather, Tashuka would go, or who we call Crazy Horses today. And throughout history, there has been great misunderstanding, a great misunderstood of who the Lakota people were and who we really are today. And so Tashuka Witko is the real interpretation of that name is the very daring, very challenging horse. And Tashuka Witko was a spiritual leader, but also a military strategist. He victoried over some of the battles between the Lakota and the United States government. And in fact, they study his military strategies, tactics to this day at the West Point. And so we are a family of not only medicine healers, like my wife sitting here, one of the only now living traditional great clan mothers of the Lakota who possessed that healing power, the connection, and with our ceremonial ways that date back thousands of years. And to this day, we are warriors. My father, most of our brothers served in all the major conflicts for the freedom of this country that we live in. My father served in World War II. His father served in World War I. His father served in the Spanish-American Conflict. And his father was at the Little Bighorn in the battle with the U.S. government, which was the only time of Native people on the flag. And so when it was that time that a great man named Crazy Horse lived, and he lived for a while on this earth. But 4 days before he was to be assassinated, Crazy Horse sat on the buffalo robe on the earth, smoking the pipe with Sitting Bull, Tatanka Yutake. And this is what he said. He said, upon suffering beyond suffering, the indigenous people of the nations will rise again. And it shall be a blessing for a sick world. For it will be a world full of selfishness, disease, and separations. And he said it will be a world that will be longing to see the light again. And he said, I foresee a time of 7 generations. Long after the water had become that smelling, and the skies had become dark and ugly. He said, I see a time when the whole earth shall be made one circle again. And he said, all the 4 colors of mankind, from all the walks of life, from all the 4 corners of the world, he said, shall gather here under the sacred tree of life. In what a place what you call America today, but the place that we call the heart of all that is. The heart of our mother, the earth. And so he foresaw a time of 7 generations. And if you look around you, it is all happening today. And so we dwell in the house of many nations, many colors. And he said, in that day, there will be those among my people who will carry the knowledge, the wisdom of all living things and the balance and the connection, the relationship to all living things in the universe. And he said, in that day, even the young white ones will come to those of my people, and they will ask for this wisdom. And now that we are in those times now,
Yes.
when scientists, some of the smartest men, the richest men in the world, are coming to Native American people for spiritual guidance, for healing, how we're going to heal the environment. And it's a part of the wo'oyake, they say, the truth that was spoken long ago. It's the truth of the word that is spoken today.
And he said, I see a time, he said, when in that time, he said, I salute the light in your eyes. He said, for that is where the whole universe dwells. And when you are at that center in you, and I am at that place in me, we shall all be one. Crazy horse. I promised my son I would tell that prophecy. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. That was beautiful. Yes. Very touching.
And we are the council here before the chief can act on anything. We bring it before the council. And we are the last of the elders now. All the elders have on our clan and our nation. So we are picking up the torch now. So thank you, my brother, for coming all this way.
Thank you.
To bring this peace and this harmony and this balance back to the world. Oh.
And the treaty of the circle of life, that's what it is. That's the restoration. And so that is why we name it the treaty of the circle of life. As he said, we are restoring that circle. And the tree of life is giving life again. And we have done that through the first element of life is love. Love is unity. And so we restore the love on the planet, we restore life. So the Ethiopian World Federation in the East, Ethiopia was one of the last countries in Africa to fight and stand against colonialism. And to fight against that colonialism and to know that we must preserve the ancient ways so that our people and nature and everything could be protected. And then here in the West, the Lakota stood strong and did the same. So it is only rightful that in this time, that the sun that rises in the East rises in the West. And that is the unification, the East and the West at this time. So this treaty really signifies a divine blessing and a walking in prophecy from the East and a walking in prophecy from the West. So that is light on both sides. And when those lights come together, it is a new day for the world. And so we have brought a new sun, a new day to the world. And that is the treaty of life. And as His Majesty taught us, His Majesty said the key to life is collective security. That the small people and the small nations must come together and collectively bond arms to overcome the giants of the world that have tried to manipulate and harm and overcome the people. So now, this is the new day. This is the beginning. And I, Ross Lazarus, would like to thank the President for taking the honor and the guts to fulfill a mission that many will not do, and to understand how important it is to build this unification and start this process on the planet. So I'd like to thank you, Dr. Wayne, for taking the honor and taking the courage to make the stance and lead the Ethiopian World Federation into this step. Thank you.
I'm honored to do so. We're just doing our father's business and doing what's before us, because we have an obligation right now. We have a mandate right now to unify and to support and to come together. So this is part of that effort right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what we'll do now is we will allow Dr. Winborn to sign, and as he signs, he will turn it around to Chief Chasing Horse, and he will sign. Prior to we signing, what we will do is we will allow Chiefs, would you like to say a prayer?
Yes.
Okay. So Dr. Winborn, you will place today's date in this, and here, in the month, and your name you will sign. I will sign as your witness. Then Chief, we will turn this page to you, and you will place the date and you will sign, and then you will place to your father to sign as a witness, and then we will allow another witness to sign on the last page of the will. Is that fine?
Tukashna Mokantaka, it's a count that on Mushicha, into Ovahina, Chabreshka Wakan, Kichi, okay, boy, it's a Mayaki Bazo, it's a Mena Chichamaka, it's a boy who Tukashna Mospe, Mayakapia, War picking the it's a Yawaka, Yawashte. Heche we join Chahite. Oyate Kinibite. Grandfather, creator of all things. Look down upon us today, our ancestors, and those have gone on before, and those are still yet to come. Look at us as we come humbly before you in this circle of life. And bless these papers too, made of the trees of life. And make this strong, grandfather, and bless us with these will give life and understanding and balance to the world. And thank you, we are so grateful for all the blessings that you have given upon us. Thank you, thank you, thank you, grandfather. And Mother Earth, remember you today upon the time of your suffering. For many of your children don't know what they do, but I pray for them, grandfather, that we can create an understanding. We can create an awareness. We can create a greater meaning of all this suffering. When we understand our suffering, we will survive. We will live.
Today's the 10th.
Yes, today's the 10th. Oh.
Oh.
And that is the completeness of the signing of the Treaty of the Circle of Life. Thank you, Chief.
Oh, I'd like to say something to the camera. First of all, I'd like to thank my father and my mother, and my grandfather and my grandmother. And I'd like to thank the President
and Ross Lazarus and their grandmothers and their grandfathers and their children and their grandchildren and their ancestors, where they come from, their songs and their ceremonies, their sacred medicines that grow from wherever they come from, and that's in their heart. So I like you for this treaty. It's a powerful thing, and like you told me on the camera, and I tell you now, I'm a doer too. I'm not a pretty talker. I do what I have to do for all 569 tribes, and the best for the elders, and the best for the children, and the best for the land, and the spirit of the land, and our culture, and our ceremonies, and our language. So this is what I am doing. This is for the better of the future, the 7 generations to come, and to leave a medicine for them, and to heal us, our minds, all of us, to help us. So I'd like to thank you guys for making this big journey over here, and the film man here, Lazarus, Ross Lazarus, Rasta man. Thank you guys, Rastafari. And Wakankanka. Oh, Witakwasa.
How we not only just follow the buffalo, but we follow the seasons. When to pick certain plants, when to pick certain medicines, when to plant. There was just so much that was involved in that way.
Is the information, did you publish it?
Yeah. It's called Sintegreshka University, which is named after one of his chiefs. His name, that's Spotted Tail in our language, the Spotted Tail University.
Okay.
And we'll send you the way you can order a copy.
Please. We're having conversations within the Federation now about our own school system and the importance of educating our own children for the future and moving them away from that education that's not education, just preparing them to be laborers, and give them now something how they can go out and do something substantial for themselves and their family besides going to school to learn how to work at McDonald's.
Well, see, I was explaining earlier to Ross, is that in order to preserve that knowledge, that universal, our knowledge of the universe, we had to, in our cultural preservation, we never sent him to school.
I heard. Lucky you.
And so his mind, his perspective of the world has not been contaminated with that.
See, like me, I had to be detoxed.
Same with me.
You know, I had to
Same
be
with
detoxed.
many of our generation.
You had to be detoxed. You young guys, you know what I mean? Y'all was able to get the truth from us after we got detoxed.
And so we're in a place now where we can bring all of that to the table. And if there's going to be another 7 generations, because of the way that right now the world is in right now, the purification that our ancestors talked about, we're in it right now, whether we know it or not.
Whether we know it or not, it's happening.
It's happening. The world is changing. Our elders are going, and the younger ones are stepping up. You know, and if you look at all the migratory, the whales, for instance, many of them are beaching themselves. And that scientist baffled why? Because the younger ones have to have food to eat. The ocean's getting smaller. And so many of the elders back in those times, they would go out and build a little hut, because they knew that to give up theirs, 20 other children will live.
Time for me to take on my eternal form.
And those are the laws of nature. And so we live in a modern society that has disconnected themselves from that. And so we want to teach people to think outside of the box.